It's not quite the Poplar Bridge here in Cleveland, Ohio. Um, hey, um, a little bit different than the viaducts that we saw in Cleveland, Ohio. Um, that's where I learned about viaducts in Memphis, Tennessee. And here in Cleveland, it's not quite the same thing. You have your graffiti, you have your old arches, you have your industries, but here in Cleveland, you kind of got the Cuyahoga here, and you got a lot of viaducts here. You got there's like a lot of industry here. This is much more than we saw in Memphis across the Poplar. If you remember, I learned about the word viaduct in Memphis because viaducts really were created to keep the commercial or business people of the community above, okay, the grit and grime and kind of greasy nastiness that was part of the viaduct. Needed because they had water here in Cleveland, or in Memphis, they had rail and they had freight. And so to keep the smoke and the noise of the freight away from the business in Memphis, they had the freight and the freight trains. Okay. Here, it's interesting because in Cleveland, you have freight, you have like everything. It is a buffet of commercialism, it is a buffet of industry, perhaps is the best word. You got the freight, which is loud and noisy and cantankerous. Um, mixed with the Cuyahoga River, which is barges and water, and you got, steel and import and coal and, So you got that dirt and grime coming in along the Cuyahoga, mixed with what, we saw in Memphis with the dirt and grime of the freight railroad there, and keep it away from the washed people above, who are going into the city to do commerce or to do business, white collar kind of clean business. So hey, here, we got a lot of bridges here. This is much more than the Poplar Bridge in Memphis. Remember, Poplar was one bridge, and it's like that was it. And basically, it kept people away from the freight trains that would rumble through and the industry below it. But here, you kind of got the Cuyahoga here below the bridges, that'll keep the, pedestrians and later commuters outside of the stink, stench, and sound of the industry below. Pretty cool and pretty interesting as the sun sets here on Cleveland, Ohio night on March 19 here along the flats in Cleveland, Ohio, as I observe the viaduct that has kept the people away from the nasty here along the river in Ohio.